Good morning, everyone. Welcome at our Merbon IDE advanced training. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is František Hilmar, and I work as a technical support and a development engineer in our company. Today, I will be your guide through this training, and I will try to show you everything that we developed through the last year and we added to our new version of Merbon IDE software, which is available now for download on our websites. Just to be sure that everything is okay, I would kindly ask you to let me know in chat that everything is alright, that you can hear me well, or is it too loud? Also the connection. Fine, okay. Unless there is no response in chat, I'm happy to have my colleague who checking this stream so I know that he can hear me well. I hope that you can hear me well also. And it's just the lack of people watching this through their channels or personal accounts on YouTube. Okay, I will presume the sound is all right, and I will start. There are three big changes that are now implemented in our Merbon IDE software that I will introduce it to you today. The first one is the Wall series. We developed a brand new series called Wall. It was with cooperation with a Vago company. So the hardware, it's Vago, but the runtime, it's Domat. It's our Merbon runtime, which we use normally in our PLCs. So we just put it in the hardware of Vago and created a brand new series called Wall. If you are familiar with the Vago hardware, then the work with this is alright. It's the same as it was before. The only change is that right now you can work with your PLC in Merbon IDE. You don't need another software. If you are familiar with our software, you can also work with these Wall PLCs. At start, I will show you some pictures, how it looks, in case that you are not familiar with it. This can be also for you. Okay, first I will change the language of the website, and here, okay, it's about system, mark and Wall process stations. Here there is compact process stations. And here you can see types that we are selling. This series is just for sale. It doesn't mean you cannot buy the PLC itself. The PLC is just this first part. And these are the cards with IOs. So you can choose whatever you want. You can buy just the PLC and then the cards you want, or, and which is better for you, it's cheaper, you can buy a set. We created 4 sets for you. They are inspired by our previous PLCs called Mark MX and ICO. So the number of the analog inputs, analog outputs, and digital inputs and outputs are the same as we have it in our previous PLCs Mark. So this is just for sale. It doesn't mean you cannot change this set. It's just better price if you buy it as a set. These numbers of inputs and outputs, we have experience with it. We work with this number of it in our PLCs. So we use this as kind of frame for our wall sales sets. There is 2 big differences. One is COM port. That's important because if you then have a COM here in a name, it means it looks like this. There is just dip switches, red and white dip switch here. If you have a COM version, then there is a 9-pin connection which works in 2 modes. One as a 232 version and second RS48 485 version. So then it's a communication port. You can use it for Modbus, BACnet, communication with other devices. If you don't have this version, then there is just these 2 Ethernet ports for communication outside, or you have to buy a communication card. So these are the few differences. I think the main difference is if you want to buy this PLC and you want to know how you navigate through this description. So first look at the COM and the number of IOs. The advantage of this is that if you don't use all the IOs, you can take some of these and use it somewhere else. So it doesn't mean the set is not connected steady. It's normal set just for sale. I think that's the main information. The other important information is that these PLCs are not programmable in codices. They are programmable in our Merbon IDE. So once you buy it from our company, you can't use it for codices programming. You have to use Merbon IDE software. You can see this by this brand on PLC. There is not Vago, there is Tomat. It means there is Merbon runtime inside. As you can see on the cards are the same. There is no difference in cards. So in case you have some spare Vago cards from a previous projects, you can use it with our PLC also. Okay, that's for a very brief introduction to the hardware, and now I will make a step to the Merbon IDE software to show you how to program this. Yeah, I will choose our newest version 2.4.0.7. In next weeks, we will bring you a new version with some bug fixes. I'm not quite sure about the number right now, but there will be some new features and bug fixes, but the main structure of this version will stand the same as I will show you today. So we'll start with the program. In the program itself, there are no big changes. You can use it as you are used to. So we will create a solution. That's the same. No change there. Okay, this option is still the same. We will start in the simple mode, and then we will switch. Okay. So if you want to connect the PLC with a from Wall series, it's quite easy. It's the same as you do it before, as you are used to with our PLCs. There is no big difference. The only difference is that Vago PLCs, they are using K-bus communication with cards and PLC. So we have to implement K-bus in our Merbon IDE software, and there is a way how to use it, how to add more cards or everything. So first, we will attach PLC. We will try to do it manually for now. Okay. And we can choose from two type of devices. Okay, this is important. The first type, it doesn't have a communication port, and the second type, it does. So that's the change I'll show it to you before. Is this type or second one? Yeah, I can show it to you here. Okay, that's the second one with a communication bus. I think there is somewhere also a brief description. Yeah, the type. So if it's 2, it means it has a communication port. If it's 1, there is no communication port there, just dip switch. Our PLC has it, so I will try to click the communication type and do next. It's the same here. And as you can see, something happened. This is a change from our previous version, and it's changed not only for Wall PLCs but also for our previous PLCs with integrated IOs, because in our previous version you were supposed to create a PLC and then a channel for internal IOs. Right now we have it implemented in our library, so if you choose the type that has its internal IOs, inputs and outputs, it will automatically create you a channel with these digital outputs, inputs, and analog outputs, inputs. It's even from our older PLCs like ICO, IMEO, MarkMX, and others. Right now it's easier for you, so you can see that I have this card already. This is just a virtual card. It's the power source of the PLC, and it's here only to show you the consumption, the energy consumption of your cards or your set. Okay, so this card will always be there. It's just a virtual device, and it will be the position 1. So the first biggest change here, this K-bus protocol, as you see here, it's K-bus. You don't have to address the cards. The address of the card is set in its position in PLC. So it means if the card is the first, it will have a number 2 here because the first one here is a power source. And if you add another card, it will always have a number of its position, of its physical position on your set. Okay, there are 2 ways how to add a new card here. Right now I will show the manual way, and right after it I will show you also the automatic way, which is easier for you, but you have to add a physical PLC at your table. It has to be connected to your computer to use this. I think it's clear. So first of all, I will show the manual way. That's for case that you don't have a physical PLC on your table, but you have to create your project in advance before you go to the building and implement it on site. So first we will try to add library device. And this is similar like our other PLCs, our other channels, communication protocols. If you use K-bus, it will only show you the Vago cards. It's the same as the other protocols. If you choose Modbus, for example, there will be only Modbus devices. So right now you will see you can choose between cards. So you can add a card by card, or there are our sets. This is easier that you have already created together in advance. So you don't have to choose card by card. You just have to choose this or MX or VCO. It depends on this or WCO. It depends on this type that you have. Right now I have on my table the WCO. So I will show it to you first. So I will edit, click OK, and you can see that I have all cards right now added to my channel. So you see I work with this PLC right now. So all the cards, you can take a look at the numbers. As you can see, it's here. As I said it before, there is a position on a bus. It is set by a physical number with its physical position on the PLC. Okay, first there was one mistake. I said before, this PLC can have the position same as this card because it's only a virtual one. It's not physical, so it doesn't care if there is same number of position. In case there will be 2 numbers the same, it will be a problem for you. There you will not be able to compile the project because there will be conflict on the bus. So every card has to have its own address here, but the address is done by its physical position on the bus. This is a little tricky if you are adding this card by card. For example, if I delete this card, we'll try to put it back. I will have to make sure that the card I choose, that I will change its device position because it's not preset if you add card by card. It's only when you add a set itself. So I will take a look on the number. Okay, this one. Edit. Okay. You can see, okay, right now I have a 6 because I had more PLCs before. So I have to change the number. Okay. So that's for a manual way. And now we will show you the automatic way, which is useful for you. It's easier, but you have to have a physical PLC at your table. You have to connect it to your computer, and then you can do it automatically. There is a function called detect terminals. That's this third option. Okay, so I will try it. And here it's a new function that I can introduce you. As you can see, or you may be familiar before, there is no need to switch to commissioning mode in advance of this operation. In our older version, you had to switch to commissioning mode first. If you try this operation without PLC in commissioning mode, it will be unavailable. Here, we made some improvement. So right now, you don't have to do it in advance. You just have to do it when you are detecting it. So now the Merbon IDE tells you that the control is not in this mode, but it will automatically turn it to commissioning mode, detect the cards, and if you check this option, it will return to the running mode, to the full run mode if you are finished. Okay, so we can try this. And I will have to add the PLC first because I add it manually, and I see that I have this. There is no good identifier here. So first I will show you how to detect it. It's the same. Okay. So attach PLC, and we will use the first option, UDP broadcast. Here you can see this Vago PLC. And the other one, this is by Wi-Fi. Okay, so this I will only edit. It's the same as before. You can download configuration also. Okay, succeeded. And now we have a connected PLC. And we can do detection of terminals. You have to wait till it's in commissioning mode. So right now it's commissioning mode. We have detected cards. In case that the name of the card is red or a type, you see here, if it's red, it means it's not in your solution yet. Okay. So I will click each of these cards. There is also a prototype name. So there could be two ways how to work with this card. Two modes. And if I'm done, I click next. And you see that now it's restoring previous full run mode. Okay, and the cards are here. So this is two ways how to do it. One, it's manually. If you don't have the PLC in your desk, at your desk, you can do it in advance. If you have your PLC already, you can just click detect and add all cards automatically. Okay, so I will show you some more things about wall series. And I just realized I forgot to tell you our today's topic, our whole topic. So first will be wall series. We are talking about it right now. The second one will be a BACnet communication protocol, which is the second biggest new feature. And the third one, it will be our new web server. So right now I will finish the wall series, then I will move to the BACnet, and then I will finish with web server. Okay, so right now we will finish. So this is the setting of cards, so there is no need to do it in some hardware. I think it's pretty user friendly. There is no big deal here. There is no trick. And there is some new things that you can do with this PLC also. Okay, now we will take a look at the cards more. So we will see there is some configuration of card. So we can take a look here. This is, for example, digital outputs. Okay, so this card is digital inputs. Here it's analog outputs, and here it will be analog inputs. If I take a look here, and I will compare it with our older version, there is one difference. If you are familiar with Merbon IDE, you did some project before, you may remember there was an option to choose type of measurement. It means if you want to measure resistance, if you want to measure current, or if you want to measure voltage. Here you can see there is nothing, there is no type to choose from. This is set by the manufacturer of these cards. So Wago don't use it this way. They are not using this multiple choice for each analog input. So you have to buy the correct card if you want to use the type of measurement. So for example, if you want to use resistance cards, if you want to measure resistance, you'll have to buy a resistance card. If you want to measure current, you will have to buy current card. So you have to buy it in advance. There is no option how to change it if you already buy the card. The card is made to measure just one type of measurement. So this is one of the differences, I think the biggest ones, from our previous IOs and these ones. So it may be a little bit disadvantage for you because you can't choose the type of each input or output. But the advantage of the card system is that you don't have to buy a big PLC if you want just, for example, 40 IOs. You don't have to buy a whole MX, for example, and there is no such big space. I think that's one of the biggest advantages, because for example, if you are doing reconstruction of some older building, and there is no such place for the big ones, big PLCs like MX, you can use these Wago controllers, it's Wall series, to spare some space for other devices. Okay, so this is a difference. You have to make sure that it's okay for you, that this solution is suitable for your specific project. And right now, more to the analog inputs. You have to choose the input type. There is Wago input types implemented in our Merbon IDE software. So you can see if you are familiar with before. So there is these types of measurements. You can choose from these. and you have to change the constant here also. You can see the constant is here. So if, for example, if I choose this type, you see there is a change of the, I have to change the value here. Okay, so you see here, for example, I have only 0.1. So I have to change it here if I will use this type. The advantage of this is that there is no thing like configuration of the modules as it's in our IOs, our old IO systems. So if you change it here, if you change it in a program, it's automatically sent to the card itself just by deploying the project. So there is no need to configure the card by card or input by out by input. So this is easier for you if you implement a Vago PLC or Wall PLC. Okay, we can take a look at the analog outputs. Here you can see there is a resulting range. There is range from 0 to 100%, and these values are a number of values. It's just the range of the output, so the digital range of the output. So you can see this is 0 to maximum, and this is also 0 to 100%. Okay, so this is for this is just inside the card, and this goes out. So it goes out the software, or you see this in a variable. This is just for control. I think there is no big deal here. There is no tricky things in these analog outputs. And digital ones, I think there is no need to introduce this. This is pretty simple. There is nothing special about this. Okay, if I can tell you something more about card communication, because as you saw it before, as I show you, there is communication port. If you buy a COM type of PLC, means the 8102, but there is also option to buy a communication card and put it in our PLC. In case you have it, you can add it here. Okay, I will try to do it because I don't have it on my table. So, okay, this is a card for 232 or 485 RS communication. If I add it here, I have the card for communication also. Okay, I will have to change the number. And in case I want to create a channel here, right now I will see, you can use, for example, Modbus. And you see there are two options now. First option is COM1. It's integrated port. It's this port. And the second option, that's a card communication. You can see it's here from the card. So that's how it works. There is no special need to implement it, to configure it. You just add the card, and here you can see the option when you're creating a channel. So pretty simple. To implement the PLC in correct way, you will always need an ending card, but the ending card is always there. you see here, you will always get it when you buy the PLC from our company. So you don't have to worry about it. There always be this ending card with no outputs and inputs. Okay, there is one thing I want to tell you, because as you can see there is 242 or 485 option. So how to choose the type of this communication? It's here. So if I choose the cards, because they both, the card and the integrated port, it both work on these two types of communication. So if I choose a COM port, I have to also choose the type of the communication. It means if you have only two wires or a nine wires. So here, okay, this is for a nine and this is only for two. And if you choose the mode, you only have to switch it here. There is no need to do some configuration, further configuration. You just have to do it here and deploy solution, and that's it. Okay, I think that's everything for a Wall series. So in case you have some questions, you can write it in chat now. If it's on a Wall series or something else, and then I will continue with the BACnet server. So in case of no questions here, I will continue with the BACnet server. I will start in our websites because there is one important thing I want to show you. And that's the support of the BACnet. If you work with us for a longer period of time, you may know we use two types of PLCs. There is FreeRTOS ones and Linux ones. So the Wall PLC, it's also Linux. So it's with the more performance, with more options. And one of the biggest changes here also is that it's difficult to implement BACnet with its all functions properly in our low performance PLCs. So there is a table. Okay, I will switch it to English. Here is a table that you can navigate in our website here. Okay, here's properties of hardware platforms with Merbon runtime. Okay, this is the important table because here you can see all the options that the PLCs have. In our previous version, I think there were no limits in our PLCs, but right now, as we implement more and more options, we have to choose the PLCs that can work with these new features and those ones who are not available to do it. Because some PLCs are very low performance, it's just for some very small projects, or for example only for communication with some IOs on gather some data or something, and they are useful because of its size that are small, or and because of its price, but there is no need to implement these very difficult things because it cannot work like this. they are low performance. So the BACnet server, for example, it's very capable of performance, so you can't use it with these low performance PLCs. So here are the new features, and here you can see which PLC supports which of the new features. I may return to this page also next time with a web server, but right now I will show you this. This is important thing, this BACnet server or client. So you can see there is only like 6 PLCs that not support this, and it's our lowest performance PLCs like Mark 100, Mark 120, or these Mark 150, and also the IMEO 100 and ICO 200. These are the lowest performance PLCs. As you see that ICO 205 supports BACnet server and client also. This is mainly because these PLCs without a 5 on its end, they don't have the communication port, so you cannot work with these PLCs with a BACnet server or client. Right now, in our version 2.4.0.7, we support the BACnet server, and the BACnet client will be in our new version that will launch, I think, in the next few weeks. Okay, so support is the same. Server client doesn't matter. If a BACnet is supported, it means the PLC supports both. But right now, if you work with our newest available version, you have to only implement BACnet server. You have to wait. If you want to use a BACnet client, you will have to wait for a next version in a few weeks. Okay, so now for the configuration. Let's get back to the Merbon IDE, and we can create a server. If you are familiar with our PLCs, you may worked before with a Modbus server. It's kind of the same, you only have to choose the type of the server channel. So here it's not add channel, this is for a client type of communication. If you want to work with PLC as a server, you will have to click here at server channel. Okay, here this is server. I can name it as BACnet. Okay, fine, we'll enable it. And here we can choose the protocol. This is a slight change. If you was familiar before with our PLCs, you may know that there was only one option. There was only Modbus server option. Right now, there is also a BACnet server. So this is how you implement the server. You add a server channel and then choose between Modbus or BACnet. So I will choose server, and we have only one option here. Okay. I will need some little project here to show you a communication with variables, to show you how to implement it. So I will have to create some new ones. For example, like this. Okay. I won't create any complicated implementation. I will only do some basic program. If you will be interested in some basics, you can also take a look in our next stream that will be about Merbon IDE itself will be for beginners. Okay, so this is only for communication. I need some variables here. Okay, like this. Okay. Okay, and I will also need some binary values. So I will have to create a bool variable. Okay. Okay. False. I will just connect the variables, inputs to outputs. Fine. Okay, maybe I will use here an integer one. And I will need some alarm points also. Okay, so it's not bool, it's int1. Okay, I think we need a bool here. Oh, let's see. Okay, so I will change the one more time back. Okay, I'm sorry. I just misread my notes. Doesn't make sense. Okay, now it will be alright. As you can see, the project it's building in. Okay, there is another problem. I don't have connected inputs and outputs. Here I only need this. Okay, fine. Okay, I will need the integer one for a time program. Okay, it's just for testing, so we don't need any initial value, but we need a time program function. So we can go here, and we will choose this one. Okay. We may control this also. Okay. Okay, we don't need it. Okay, fine. So the main difference between BACnet and Modbus is that there are no registers in in BACnet communication. This is only for Modbus. So if you work with BACnet, there are objects which has its own properties, and the object it's one variable. Okay, but it can be multiple variables. It's just the object type of communication. So we have to make sure you think about it in a right mindset. If I want to create a server, I will right click on on a solution on this channel and click add server device. Now I will tell you something more about its properties. So first of all, you have to change the properties here, or parameters. So there is no need for There is no such big changes here because there is only, you have to let here a localhost because this is the address of the server. So right now is the PLC itself, so the address is localhost, as you can see it here. The device port, this is important because BACnet have a reserved port 47808. Okay, so 47808. And this port is reserved for BACnet communication. Why it's this number? It's because in hex numbers it means back 0. So it's name of the communication protocol. I will show it to you later. Okay, local, we will leave it here. We don't need to change this, and we will change only this device instance to 1. In case we want some password for this, we can write it here for this approach to the server. But as you can see, the password is not hashed. So anyone who has access to this project will see the password. Okay, so this is device port, local port 0, device IP address stands like this. And this local port, it's automatically added by our system. We'll create our own virtual one. Okay, I think we are done here. This is for the configuration. And that's all. Just type, there is no, right now there is no option here, so that's all. Okay, right now there are 3 ways how to add variables to the BACnet server. First option, you can do it right here from the program. So you can click variable which you want to add, and you go to its properties, and as you can see, here it's a BACnet server property which says if BACnet is visible, if the variable is visible for a BACnet communication or not. If I click check, you see there is some more options here. So I will have to create a name for BACnet communication. And then, very important thing, the data point type. There are 2 very similar ones. It's analog value or analog output. These ones are for read and write, both. But you mainly use the analog output for peripherals. So right now we will keep it as a value. Input, in comparison, it's only for read. So if you want to only read variable, if it's read only, if you cannot write to the server, then it's input. Okay, we will leave this as a value. And there is also option to connect some alarm point here. You can choose from some variables, and you can add the alarm point here also. Right now it means that this alarm will be active if this variable will go out of its range. it's here in metadata. You see there is a minimum, maximum, step. If the variable it's measurement and it goes out of the range, then the alarm goes active. Okay. So we can add this alarm here. You can use it for this variable. And you can change the range that you measure. And one important thing is unit. Okay, there is also a notification class, BACnet device, and I think this is all. So this was the first way. Now when I take a look here, I can see I have my variable right here. You see, about the units, there is one thing in BACnet communication. BACnet itself has its own type of units. They have its numbers, but if you write the value in a normal way, it will automatically add you the BACnet type of the unit. So the clients can read your variable in the right type. As you can see here, there is object identifier, which is not here, but this will change if we build a solution. I will show it to you after I add next variables. The important thing about this identifier is that it's not editable. It will be created automatically. So that's a change also from Modbus. It's a difference. When you're using Modbus, there is a registers which has its own numbers. If you use BACnet, the identifiers are created itself. You cannot change them. They are created automatically. Now the easiest way is you can also go to the browser. It's also option how to implement the variables. And you can choose a variable from here. So I will choose this variable number 2. And it's the same as we do it in write in a program. So I can choose, okay, I will write a var2. I can do it as input. There will be no alarm point, and unit can be also Celsius. Okay, fine. Okay, that's it. This is for second option. And the third and the easiest one is to do it right here from the device. So I right click, click add variable, and choose from variables. Okay, there are some left. It's free ones, these three. And the main difference and advantage of this approach is that you can use a multiple select. So if I hold Control button on my keyboard, I can basically here, just like this, I can select multiple variables and then click OK. And you can see that they are all here in our server. So this was the easiest way for implementation. And I will also show you how to add not only these varies, I think easy variables, but also time program, for example. So we can just click here on the scheduler. Okay. And here is integer scheduler. So this is how we add this schedule, and also we can add the, okay, they are already here. So if you want to add alarm point, you have to choose the input of the alarm. But we already used the alarm here, so there is no need to, okay, but I can do it also here. Okay, so this is alarm also. But alarms in BACnet, they work like alarms for a concrete object, so you normally don't use the alarms like standalone. Okay, we will take a look if it's working for us. So I will build a solution. Just make sure everything's all right and deploy it to our PLC. And to make sure that everything's working fine, I'll run a BACnet client called Yabe. All right. Yet another BACnet client. Explorer. See, yet another BACnet Explorer. So here, this is not very important for you. It's just some general information. If you are using clients, just make sure that they support the specific types of time programs or alarm points, because not all of the clients that are available at the market supports all BACnet types of objects. It's not BACnet as a BACnet client. They are all different. So just make sure that you are using a correct one. So here we can add the communication. As you can see, port, now it's in HEX number, so it's back 0. And this endpoint, it will be the endpoint of our PLC. Okay, so we can make a communication. And if I double click, I will see all the variables that was read from our PLC automatically. So this is a big advantage. You see that the communication brings the request for variables, and as I click on them or click here, there is okay, get properties name. I will send a request for names, and it will automatically show me all the variables here in a table. So this is one big difference. It's easier, so you don't have to do some big client changes here. When it's the communication, it's online, you can send a request. I think the request is called who is. You will ask a BACnet server for information, and the response is I have. So the PLC, which is working as a BACnet server right now, will show you all the variables that it has in its memory. So you can see here, it's all the variables that are created for a BACnet communication. You see that there is also alarm point, there is scheduler, event. Okay, this is event for variable 1. It means that's the alarm point. You see that's this one. Okay, that's this alarm point. And as you can see, that object identifiers was created automatically. And this is the easiest way how to communicate it. So we can make sure that it's working. And we can change the value here. Take a look if it's changed there also. So I will just take a look at variable 1. I see there is present value 10. I can change it, for example, to 43. Okay, I will just make, and I see here there is 33. If I do it from this way, you see I have 44, and here is also 44. So the communication is working. There was one exception. I add one variable as a, okay, I'm sorry, I will do it again. I add one variable as input, so there shouldn't be an option to write to the variable. So I will just make sure it works. I'm not sure what was it. It was this one, second one. So okay, here I will try, and it should end with error. Okay, it works. Access denied. It means it's only for a read. So if I change it here, it should be shown here, but you cannot do it the other way. So it's only one-way communication. Yabe itself, in case of schedulers, it only reads schedulers. You cannot write to scheduler. But it depends on the type of a client that you're using. This is just for control of your server configuration. Okay, this is for a client. This is for a client test of our configuration, so it seems everything is working fine. I'll just take a look here, one more look, and show you some more configurations in Merbon IDE. There is one option. You can export a table. It calls EDE file. This is for offline creation of your client side of a communication. It means if you are online, you can read the variables automatically. If you are creating it in advance and there is no connection between your PLCs which working as a servers and your clients, you can do this client configuration with this ED file. Okay, I can show it to you how it looks. Okay, it was created here in my folder. Okay, so I will just find it. I'll show it to you how it looks. What is the format? Okay, I have it here. Okay, so here you have a folder of the project, and here first is BACnet export. And here I can take a look on this edef table. So as you can see, it's pretty simple. There is just the definition of all variables that you have in your configuration, server configuration. So you can read it. It's readable. And you can use this file to create your client site if you are not online with your BACnet device. Okay, I'll just open the stream again. Okay, I have a question here about the security. I'm not quite sure what do you mean by this security. Okay, if you mean in general, there is we don't have security in BACnet. There is some new standard already existing, but I think that no companies right now are implementing it because it's very non-performance efficient. So it's very hard to use it. If you want to prevent writing inside your server, I think there is you can do it here, as I showed before. It's okay. It's here. You can use this. I think this is most security. I think here implemented right now. Okay, to write in analog variables. I'm sorry because I the chat is delayed a little bit, so I'm sorry that I'm not responding as soon as you write your questions because I have like a 30-second delay on my stream. So okay, maybe there is an option for this in priorities. You can manage. You can manage. Okay. Just a moment. Sorry. But I'm glad to hear that there is someone listening and that you can hear what I'm saying. So that's a good test, at least. Okay, fine. So I hope the question was responded in proper way. So unfortunately, there is no like big security here. There is only this password for management. But the problem is that the security itself it has very high performance uh, requirements for devices. So if we are using PLCs, in case of a PLCs, they are, as you can see, for example, table before what I showed in the support of a BACnet server or client. It's yeah. So it's only for like a social for a building for facility engineering and a security here. It can be problematic because you will have to use a very high performance PLCs. Again, and from my colleague, I also have a response that the BACnet it's not coded in some very big way. It's only some very normal way. I think it's not readable as simple as Modbus, but it's not very hashed or something. But thanks for the question. Okay, I will continue with the BACnet. There is, in case of any questions, just write it. Write it. I will try to answer as soon as possible. But as I said, I have a kind of a delay, so I may notice it a little bit later. Okay, there is option. You can reset identifiers, and after build you can create a new ones. So this is for a server. As I said before, right now there is in the version 2.4.0.7. As you can see here, in this version there is only BACnet server supported and available, and BACnet client will be in our future version that will launch in a few weeks. Okay, that's it for BACnet. So maybe if you have some other questions, you can write it right now, and I will move to a web server. Okay, fine. So I will continue. We will move to the last part of the Merbon IDE, here the HMI projects. There is already created automatically Merbon IDE Advanced Training, which is name of my solution. And I can create a new HMI definition by right-clicking the project, and I select the first option, Add New HMI Template. If I want to create a web, I will write web, I can write any name. I will choose graphic, and the template type will be PLC. As you may know, in our previous versions, this HMI editor was only for terminals. It was only for HT200 in graphical or HT102. It was only for terminals definition. Right now, I will show it to you. If you install the Merbon IDE, you will see there is only two icons. One is Merbon IDE, and the second one is Merbon RT, which is Windows runtime. Is the same as was this yellow one before. And you can see that there is no Merbon HMI. All the functions and features that were in a Merbon HMI are now implemented in a Merbon IDE. So here I will show you how to create a definition. So I click here, I write web, graphic, template type will be PLC, and the PLC will be this one, this last option. Click OK. And there is a grid for my definition. There is also some slight changes in our HMI graphic definitions. As you can see, there is grid side. I can adjust it for my definition, for example, like this. And then when I add some object to the grid, it will only be possible to put it in a grid. So then it's easier to create some linear tables of buttons because it's not so easy to have it in one line. Or if it's not possible for you to do it in this type of grid, you can also use these options here. We add some more options for HMI definitions also. You see there is some buttons for adjusting your HMI definition. We also added some new objects, so I will introduce to you digital setter buttons. As you can see, there is two values here. Unless I always connect only one variable to it. Right now it has an option to switch between these two variables in type of this buttons version. So it means, for example, if you use integer variable like this one, you can create multiple buttons here and you will see all the options you have in one piece of an object. So here I will choose it to horizontal way. Okay, just to be sure we're showing proper way. And we can add more buttons here. Okay, so it can be on, off. This can be, for example, heating, this could be cooling. Okay, so it can be just some example. This type of these colors, they will show only when the specific value is active. So it means if the value is 2, this button will have these colors. So it will have a white text and a green background. I can use here this text values, or I can upload some images to it also. So there can be no just text buttons, but there can be also images. If I select an image, it will be prioritized over text and it will show me the image. But it's only when it's active. When it's not active, there is just this type of normal. It's this definition. Okay, you can see here that there is one extra button. So there can be multiple options for user. We also add a combo box. It's a similar one, but it has a function that if you click on it, it only shows you the current value. And if you click on it, it will show you all the values that are available for change. So I can use the same value here. Just add one more. And you will see it here also. The next object here is just a common type. It's a rectangle. That's just a common object. It's only for your graphics. It means you only have to use it for some background, for image or something else. Or if you have a smaller grid, you can also do it like use it like a pipe, for example, or something. If you do it very straight, you can create some very easy, very easy some kind of graphical solution. Okay, this is just for some graphical reasons. If you don't have an image of a pipe or something, you can use this type of object, but it's only for a graphical reason. It has no further further need or no further functions. Okay, there is some more interesting ones. There is, as you can see, text. This variable is the indicator. Oh, sorry. This is normal text. It's the same as was before. The more interesting one is the text setter. Okay, so the text setter can be connected with a string variable. I don't have a string here, so I will add one string variable to my solution. And I can change the value of the variable, of the string variable, from my definition. So there's one big change. Right now you can use the string variables here. So this is for a setting. Here you can, if I choose the variable here, I can set the variable, or I can read the variable. And for read of string variables, there is no new object. There is this function is implemented in our old object, which was called analog indicator. Right now it was renamed to value indicator. This is mainly because right now it can also read a string variables, so it's not analog read, analog input, it's a value indicator right now. Okay, I may add here also something. So as you can see, now this object is adjusted for string variables also. One big change or one big new feature here, new object, it's a chart. I think that's the last one. So the chart, it works as an online chart. It does mean that if you add some variable here, it will show its value when you will approach the page. So if you open the page, if you go to the web server, you start the for example, your browser, and you will see the definition on your PLC. It will show you the current value of the variable in the duration that will be set here, that you set here. But it's only online graph, so there is no history here. I will show how to do PLC history because that's the new feature also. We now offer you way how to implement history inside your PLC, so you don't need a database. You can store values history in the PLC itself. But I will show it to you after it. So this is not for a history. This is only for online data. That's the important thing. If you want to add some variable here, you see there is no field for it. You have to go to the chart mappings field. You click this button and you add a new. Okay, this is only for. This is just axis, and here you can add a new series. Okay, series, and here you can choose the variable. I, for example, choose this one. Choose a color. Okay, some options here. Show points. Okay. Okay. Okay, I will choose some options here. Okay, so I can do automatically, or I can do it manually arrange of the axis. Okay, that will be it for a chart, but it's only, as I said before, this is only for online reading. One slight change also, it's in our date time setter. You may know before the date time setter, if you want to add the time of the PLC, in our previous versions, you have to click on it, choose a variable, and then choose a PLC. Right now you can see there is no option to do this. So how we will connect it to the time of the PLC? It's pretty simple. You just have to click on the Use Target Device Real-Time Calculator. You check it, and here you can see Device Real-Time Calculator. So right now it's reading the time of the PLC, and you can change it by this setter. Okay, there is one change also. You can share the text definition with the graphical one. You can use it here as a separate page. So if you have some text solution, you can add it to the page, to another page, and there will be text, there will be table. I will show you how to do it. It's pretty simple. I will just create a new one, type text. Okay. Simple, I just add some variables here. It's free, for example. Okay, and right now I can go back to the graphical version, and here I can choose a text template. And when I click on it, you can see here is this big file. It means that there is no graphical definition. There will be shown this text definition on this page. So you can use both in one graphical definition. If it's better for you to use table, but you want also graphical one, so you can, first page, for example, can be just a table, and the next pages can be graphical ones. So this is a way how to combine text templates and the graphical templates in one definition. Okay, now something more about user policy. If you want to adjust user policy for your PLC, you just double click the PLC and go here in the HMI user rights option, and here you can see your users. So it's not in the properties. Sometimes people misunderstand it and think, for example, this is the definition of the users. It's not here, it's here. Okay, so if you want to create HMI user rights, you have to go right to the PLC and click here HMI user rights. There always have to be one default user. That's the first user that will be launched after you open the server, and the admin user. One of the users has to be an admin. Okay, so there is two users that are important, and then you can create more users just by clicking here. If you want to adjust their user rights, it's very simple. You just have to create groups. So if you create more user groups, it's here, okay. Group definition. Right now there is only one group. If I add more groups, I can use them now in my solution. So now I have 2 user groups. Then I can configure which page is in which user group. So for example, page 1 can be in a default group, and page 2 can be only for group 2. So right now, if I have some user which has no rights for group 2, he will only see the first page. So if I go back here, I can add here groups. So visitor right now will see only the first page, service also, and the user will see both pages, and the same will see the admin. Beside pages, user rights, there is also some configuration rights. There is some important ones. For example, this option, write RTC. The user who has this option can change the date and time in the PLC. Okay, so if I have this object and I have no rights for a write RTC, I won't be able to change the time and the date. I won't be able to use this object. There is also a system configuration. This is slight change from our previous web, because right now you are available to change the IP address right from the web. So you can change the IP address of the device, of the PLC, from the web page. You don't have to do it only in a Merbon IDE. So if you want to offer this option to users, you have to add this user right system configuration. Then there are 2 other options. One is a system log. This system log, it's a log of the PLC. So there are all the events that happen when the PLC started. Then you can see the users, there are changes in the web, and the other stuff. The last option is alarms. If some user have this option, he will see the alarm log. That's the new feature in our version right now. It means that some PLCs has the alarm history. So you will see the alarm history in your PLC if you have this option. Okay, I can show you the page again, because as I said before, there are some changes of support for our devices. So some of the PLCs supports all of the new features, some of these only few of them. Okay, so here I can take a look. And you can see, for example, alarm log, it's only available on the Linux PLCs. So it's these new ones. For the all FreeRTOS ones, there is no option for alarm log. You cannot, okay, and you cannot save history. And you cannot use events, the system log. You cannot even do this, connection to multiple PLCs. I will show this option after it. but you can always use this server. So you can use new graphics, new objects, and run it, but there is only this slight limitation for the new features. So if you are buying new PLC, just make sure take a look at this table and make sure that the features that you are looking for are supported on the type of the PLC that you're buying. Okay, this is for a user policy. And right now I will show you how to implement a history in your PLC. How to create a history which will be saved in the memory of the PLC itself. There's no external memory, it's just right in the PLC's memory. So first, there's a big step that you have to make if you want to create a history. You have to switch to full mode. If you are not in full mode, you cannot use it. So first switch the solution to full mode. And here in a solution 3, you will see a history. And if I right click and click add new history, it will create me a history log. Okay, you may see that there is no option to add variables. I can import them, but if I click import, it will import me nothing. So how to put variables here? It's similar to a BACnet server. So first you have to go to the variable browser, and then you can take a look at the variable properties, and you will see there is a history import here. Okay, I click it here, and I can also click here, add to history. Because if I click here only on this check button, I won't see any variable here unless I do the import. So there are two options. One option is to check all the variables that I want to add to the history and then click import, or I can go through the variables, and if I see the right one, I can click here add to history. I have to choose the history log, the PLC, and I click OK. And I will see the variable here in history log also. So there are two options how to do it. Depends what is better for you, what is easier for your project. Okay, now there is some ways how you can adjust the history. If you create it right like this, you will see there is also the option history saved on a PLC. If you don't check this option, then it means that the history will be saved somewhere in the database, in an external database. If you click on this option, it will save the data right in the memory of the PLC. Okay, so I click on it, I will type synchronous, this is a save period, I can leave it like this. And there is also option for a trigger or enable. So for example, you can have some variable, some alarm variable, and if the alarm will occur, the history will start to be memorized in the log history, in the history log. Or there could be a trigger variable name. Trigger means that if the trigger goes true, it will save you all the variables that are added to the history log. So enable means it will enable your period save. Trigger means it will one time put all the variables values in a history just in the time when the trigger goes through. No, we don't have to use it right now, so we will only use these two memory, these two variables in memory. One thing that you have to configure after you create a history log is the history runtime identifier. It's in the properties of the PLC. Okay, it's here. If you create a history right inside the PLC, you have to write something here. So I can, for example, just write a history and it's done. It can be some identifier of your PLC or something else. Okay, this is for a history, and this option, maybe I can explain it a little bit more. It's mainly for external save, because then you can see if the data from which device it's coming from, because they are always signed with this identification. Okay, so this is for a history, and yeah, I just realized I didn't show you how to add a web server to your PLC, because right now we just created it, but that's not enough to put it on your PLC. So you have to go to the PLC properties. You just scroll down, and you can use this. Okay, it's just at the bottom of the properties there is option to add a web server template. So it's this one. So right now the web will be deployed in our PLC when I click on deploy. Okay, so history log, the web, and I can also show you the records maximum, because if you save the history in your PLC, you'll have to make sure that you have enough space for it. That could be an easy question for you. So right now I will try to see here. Okay, just at the bottom of this page, it's called history saving data in database. There are storage capacity for all the controllers. So here you can see you can save variables whenever you want on all our PLCs, but it's limited by the PLC's memory. So as you can see, this is the low performance ones. They don't have such a big memory. There is only 2,300 records. And the biggest performance ones have 37,000 even written in the history. Okay, so and always these ones. Okay, these ones have more memory for history also. So this is for you. The most important number is number of records. It means it will save you this number of records. If you have more variables, it will take you more records. And if you have longer or shorter, if you have shorter save period, it will take you more records also. So then you have to count how many records would you want. If you want, for example, 1 week in the past and two variables, you will have to count how many, what can be your save period or your number of variables. I think this is clear. This is most important number for you if you are thinking about the capacity of the storage. Okay, right now I will show you also how to change the language of the web, because I forget to show it to you. So I click on the PLC and there is option right in the controller properties. Here there is language, and here I can choose English. So the web will be in English, or in Czech. I can choose a Czech language if I want to. Okay, this could be it for a web server. So we will take a look how it looks. I will deploy the solution in the PLC and I will take a look. Okay, I have some problem here with the variables. Unable to write. Okay. Okay, I'll try to do it one more time. Okay, there is no variables here, so I have to choose some of these. Okay. There is some problem with this one variable integer 1. I'll just take a look. Okay, I see. Problem is the variable is not connected to any output. And if I build the solution, just to make sure that I will not use as much memory as possible, I want to compile the least memory, the least code that I can. So the variables which are not connected to any output will be automatically deleted, or not deleted, but not inside the compilation. So I will just create output here and connect it. I can build it now. I hope now it will be okay. Okay, there is just some warnings. Okay, so slight big little mistake, and here I can also choose the integer now. Okay, so we can deploy it. This is standard, so I can choose a warm start, full run, and we can take a look at our definition on the browser. I'll just write the address of the PLC, and as you can see here, I just write down the address in the browser, and we can see the data here. So the graph is online. So you see I choose the period 1 hour, which is not very optimal right now, because you see that it's only a very few points here. But we can take a look in the others. So here you can see the buttons. You can choose between the options here. There is, I think, this is a string. So I can write a string. This is a string indicator. And as you can see, I'm right now a visitor, and a visitor don't have access to write RTC. So I cannot change the time here. Okay, here I only switch between two. Yeah, that's it. And this is a combo box. Okay, so you can choose between the values here. You can choose from the menu. Okay, so this is online graph, and if you want to see like a biggest advantage here is that there is a graph in our there is a one, not only the object graph, but there is some general graph in whole web. So if you don't have the variable right inside your graphics, you can still see the variable in online mode if you click on it. For example, I can click on this variable. I use Control to choose the variable. Okay. So I will choose this one and see it in the graph. Right now, it says not defined. It means there is no history defined. So if you want to see a history, you just choose the variable and go to the graph. If you want to see the variable just online and you don't have it in an object graph, you can still see the online mode by switching on the oscilloscope mode here. So here you will see, you can see it here. It's not very clear, but I hope you see it. Okay, so here you can see the online value. Just online. Right now you see that I changed the value, so it changed from 1 to 2. I can add integer value, bool values, real values, whatever I want here. But it's only online because this data point has no history. Okay, if I want a history, I'll have to compile. Okay, I'll have to go to another user because I only see web page 1, because this is in default group 1 and the visitor has rights only for the group 1 here. Okay, I'll just check the credentials and go. So if you want to log, you click on this user and you just fill the credentials here. Okay, as you can see now, we have more options. We can change date and time here. We can also see a menu here. So this is a system log. You see there is some log of your PLC. You can download the log or you can filter something. Depends. This is a log of your PLC, so it helps you when you have some problem with your PLC. You can take a look here and see what it is. If you want to change an IP address of the PLC connection parameters, you can go here in a system configuration. And if your user has a right to define a system configuration to change it, you can go here and just change the address and set it. Okay, this is just about box. And I will also show you the alarms. Okay, so it's here. Here are the log, the alarm points, and if some of them will be in the history, I can show it to you by this show history panel. Or if my user has a right to see alarm history and I click on this button, I see it here. So here is a history of all alarms. This is the active ones, and this is a history. Okay. I will also show you this template. This is a text template, as you can see it here. So right now we are on the second page, and I'm here to show you the values. But I'm not quite sure if I add the right values here, so I will just make sure. Okay, there is only variable 1 and 2, which are not in the graphics. So unfortunately, I have to create it again and deploy it there, because we are not able to see any history with these variables because I forget to add the proper one. So I'm sorry for this. I will just change the definition right here. I will add some object. Okay, here, section analog value indicator. Okay. For example, variable 1. And I can add 1 also here in the text page. I can add the other one, which is in the history. Okay, great. I'll build my solution just to make sure everything is all right, and I will deploy it to the PLC. Okay. So that's for a history. Right now we can take a look at our changed definition. I will use Control F5. It's very useful for you also on the different pages on different use. If you click Control plus F5, function button 5, it will refresh your browser and delete the the data that are saved in the memory of your computer. It means that the data is fresh right from the server. Right now, the modern software, modern browsers, as Google Chrome or the others, they are caching the data which they receive from the pages. So it's easier for you and faster when you read, when you open the pages again. But it's problematic, for example, for us, when you change the web server, you have to, you want to read a fresh definition. So sometimes it could make a problem here. I'll just take a look if it's here, but I think we have to wait for some. But you can see there is not defined, there is no data right now. So we will just have to wait a little bit. And in that time, I will show you the last thing of our training, and that will be definition of multiple PLCs communication of the server that can communicate with multiple PLCs. It's new type of terminal. So you will just go here, click on the system and click add terminal. Here you can see there are previous ones, H2200, H2102 external, which is for Merbon Visual in cell phones, or this new one, controller as external web server. Okay, so you can use this one. And right here we have to just make sure we have a correct configuration. So we will write here admin rv1, and this will be the IP address of the PLC, because this terminal solution, this terminal template will be uploaded, deployed to the PLC on this address. So I will write here address of our PLC. It's important. And then we can choose the terminal template. We don't have anyone yet, so we create a new one. It will be a terminal type, graphic. Okay, it's here. So we can, for example, copy this from a web. So I will just show you how to do it. You can copy with position. That's a new feature also. It means it will remember its position. Okay, so when I go to this and I choose the same resolution, okay, I think I have a same resolution. I'll only change the grid also because I changed the grid here. So it will be all right. Okay. And here I can copy. Okay, it's not working here. Oh, paste, sorry. And because I just copied the previous blank page, so I have to do it one more time. Sorry. Copy with position. And here, paste. Okay. So this is the easy way how to copy it through the terminal type templates or the web PLC type templates. So this is how you can copy it. But this terminal template can be used to H2200 or to PLC also. But if you wanted to implement it to the PLC, if you want to deploy it to the PLC, you have to create a terminal, which will be type controller as external web server. So in this case, the terminal will be the PLC. So the PLC and the web what will be running in the PLC will be the terminal. So it means it will communicate, it can communicate with multiple PLCs. You can add the PLCs here. Right now I can assign only the first PLC, but if I have more PLCs in my solution, I can add more PLCs here. So that all the PLCs can communicate with one web, and that web will run on the PLC, which you will choose by the address here. So that's a slight change, that's a new feature, but it can be very useful because you can use your previous terminal templates that you used in the past for our PLCs, just by using this terminal type controller as external web server, which will be running on a web in a PLC. So this is very useful for using your old templates and to create connection to multiple PLCs. I will just show you how to add more controllers. So I will just click, okay, here, controller, manual, okay, anything, okay. Okay, I have more PLCs here. As you can see, this is a change also, that right now when I create mark mx, here I have its IOs already. Oh, this is just for, okay, and I can add the second PLC to my terminal. So right now, this terminal definition can communicate with both PLCs. I can show it to you how to connect the variables. If I click here, you see that there is not only, okay, I will just add here a task. So there is, and I'll build it also. There will be no only the PLC number 1, but the other PLCs that are communicating with the first one. Okay, so here we go. If I will try to add some variable, I will see the second PLC here with its program, with its variables and everything. So this is how I can create communication from one web to multiple PLCs. And the other advantage of this approach is that you can use the template from a H2200 to PLC also. Okay, we can take a look on the history if there is some history already. Okay, there is no history yet. So I will try just to update it, see if it's working. Okay. Take a look if this is only a graphical problem or I have no, okay, I have no data saved yet. So I may have some mistake here. Okay, I think this is okay. We can restart the PLC just in case. Okay, right now I think we will overwrite our definition because I created terminal, so it will overwrite the web. Yeah, it's here. And it's also a problem because I use this PLC. So I can, just for now, I can, okay, I will just don't use this terminal. And I will deploy the solution only to the first PLC. Okay. Just try if everything is working fine, or if there is some problem here in my settings, but it looks good. There is only, okay. I don't see values here. Oh, okay, I see them now. I can also okay, it works in online mode now, but why it's not here? There should be also a history. Okay, here it is. It's just a point here. No, it's also from online one. Not quite sure. I have some mistake here, I think, because here it only writes the no data, but not no definition. so it could work. I can also check it with the second one, but there is still the same. Okay, there should be data in a time, but maybe it can take some time, the first loading, because the definition should be all right. But it's not showing us anything today. So I will just continue with a few general information, because this is all for this stream. So if we have some other questions, we will just take a brief waiting for data, and in that time you can ask me anything and I can also try to change my history log here, just to make sure I'm doing everything okay. And during that time you can write any questions that comes to your mind right now, if you have some. And I will try to do some trigger value here, just to make sure it's working. Okay. Okay, just try to implement this. See if it's working or not. I'll just make sure. Okay, no problem, because okay, fine. Okay, it should be true. So history should be saved. Just refresh my web. Let's see if it appears. Okay, we'll wait a few. Yeah. I'll just make sure it's working. Okay, we can check it also here in the system during the debugging. See, there is a wrong time on a PLC. It seems it's running. Okay, it's still not working. Not sure why. No, it's oscilloscope mode. It's not the real history. So I don't know what is my problem here. So, but normally it's working fine. So don't be afraid about this. And if you don't have any more questions, I will thank you for your attention, for everything you written to me, for your questions. And in case of any troubles, in any problems, just let us know on the technical support. Okay, I will just try one last thing, because the problem here is not time is not synchronized. You see that there is a change here, so maybe that is a problem, that history is not showing. So I will just write. Okay, I will just change the time. Just change the time of the PLC. Okay, I will do it from here. Okay, just synchronize the time and we will see if it helped or not. Maybe this could be the problem, because history is showing with the different timestamps. That was the problem. So it wasn't a problem of the saving, it was a problem of my PLC time definition. So yeah, that could be a problem of this time. So this is why we can change the time right from a web also. And okay, I will try to change the value just for you to see that there is some change and the history is written. Okay, and you see here, okay, I changed the value. Okay, so that's it. So for you, this could be also a lesson. So make sure that the computer time is same with your PLC time. It could be a problem also in history. So that's all. That's everything from my side. So in case there are no questions, so one more time, thanks you all for your attention. In case you didn't catch everything, don't worry. This stream will be the record of this stream will be saved on our YouTube channel. So just make sure you go there and check it if you didn't catch everything. In case of the further changes we will create, right now we are preparing some tutorials for you. And in case in any problems, just you can take a look in our help in Merbon IDE. Everything is described here. You can see the tutorials which are already there, or wait for the new ones for these new features. It will be in a few weeks. And the record will be available, like I think 20 or 30 minutes right after the stream. So thank you again. I hope you have a good time, and I'm looking forward for cooperation. So in case of any problems, do not hesitate to contact us at our email, or just call us or write everything you want. We will try to help you as much as we can. So have a nice day, take care and stay healthy, especially in these complicated times. And I'm looking forward to see you on future streams or technical support maybe. Oh, good morning. Bye.